What's up? Happy Wednesday morning to you all. So, been contemplating healthy narcissism versus codependency again. And what I've discovered is that healthy narcissism can be wrapped up in the phrase, my experience is more valid to me than others' experiences of me. So anything less than believing that is codependency. You believe that other people's perspectives of you or experiences of you are less valid than your own experiences of you and your own experiences, well then you're a codependent. So the tricky thing is you want to place some weight on others' experiences of you, on others' experiences. Because if you place zero weight on their experiences of you and their experiences, then you will never acknowledge your own psychological issues. So, for example, I have two examples here. In the one, I was told by a girlfriend, an ex-girlfriend now, and a psychic, that while I was sleeping, she saw me leave my body, and I was going to astral travel, but then I decided not to, and after I probably having noticed that she noticed me, I relaxed into my body. Well, no, that doesn't hold true for me. She may have experienced me astral traveling, but I have no memory of astral traveling. I have no memory of setting any intent to astral travel. And therefore, to believe in her experience is to set her on a pedestal and to fall into codependency with her, believing that she has more psychic awareness than I do, and that her lived experience is more valid than my lived experience. Thus, codependency. That's a slippery slope. Then I'm setting myself up for, in the future, to also believe in her psychic impressions of me, and disregarding my own experiences of myself. And that leads to further pedestallation and some fucked up relational dynamics is what it leads to, some codependency. So I would be saying, oh, well, you're more psychic than I am, so why don't you take the psychic role in this relationship, and I'll take the psychological role in this relationship, and then we can continue to relate. Well, that's codependency. Then you're never owning your own psychic abilities, never believing in wholeheartedly in your experience and in your truth, and setting someone else up to fulfill the psychic role. That would be an unconscious contract that I was entering into, one in which she was fulfilling the role of psychic and I was fulfilling the role of psychological individual. That's fucked up. You want to make sure that you're whole and make sure that you are both psychic and psychological. So believe in the validity of your experience over the experiences that others have of you, and over others, the validity of others' experiences. This is healthy narcissism. Remember, other people can lie to you for a variety of reasons. Even some you trust. They might be lying to themselves and therefore lying to you. They may just be lying to you. And in this case, she may have been lying to me because she wanted to be seen as someone who was a psychic superior. Now, she could have been lying to herself and um, not believing she had this need, but nonetheless acting as if this were the truth and hoping that others would believe in her. She could have been lying to herself and exercising unconscious narcissism, basically wanting to have this belief that she's a psychic superior mirrored to her. But it's some fucked up shit that I bought into, but now I am totally against. You know, my experience of not astral traveling is more valid to me than her experience of seeing me astral travel. Full stop. On the second occasion, I had a friend who, what I perceived was his belittling me in a private conversation that he was having with his brother during our communal conversation. And so I confronted his brother. I didn't confront him directly. I should have, but I wasn't in the mind to confront him directly in that moment. But later I confronted his brother about it, and his brother let me know that that I misperceived his share, that his brother did not devalue me. So now, again, the healthy narcissism would be to own that my experience is more valid than others' experiences and others' experiences of me. And anything less would be codependency. However, in this case, I believe that my friend is telling me the truth, or I perceive that my friend has no reason to lie to me. I don't believe in anything, but I perceive that my friend has no reason to lie to me. I also perceive that his brother, who I perceived as devaluing me, may indeed like me as well. So, I can still believe in the validity of my opinion more than I believe in the validity of others' experiences of me or others' experiences. But I do want to place some weight on my friend's experience of his brother's shared one. By so doing, I can navigate potentially a psychological issue in my own being, namely the projection of belittling other on my friend. So if I wholeheartedly embraced the notion, if I believe that the validity of my experience far outweighs the experiences of others, then I might be engaging in some unhealthy narcissism, in which I fail to acknowledge that others' experiences may be true, and that I may have a psychological issue. But, to save face, he could be lying to me. He could be trying to keep his brother cast in my positive lights and seeing him as something, that's positive and appreciative, as opposed to something that's negative and angry at the world. So he could be lying to me too. That's a possibility. It's an unlikely one, but it's a possibility. So the question then becomes, how much energy do I devote in our next encounter with the three of us to listening to whether or not my friend's brother Jorge is talking some shit underneath his breath to me, about me. Because if I devote too much attention to that, then I will probably hear something that I will confront, and that he may say, I didn't say that at all, I said something else entirely. Thus the projection. But if I devote too little attention to it, then, and my friend Eduardo is lying and trying to save face for his family, then I may commit myself to this slurry of future devaluations from her head. And finally, in the last case, we have a client who has what I would consider healthy narcissism and who believes in the validity of her perspective over the validity of others' experiences of her and others' experiences. But unfortunately, she had a psychotic break, and so she developed a delusion. And no one has been able to convince her that what she experiences, or what she experienced, was in fact a delusion. So she doesn't grant other people's perspective enough weight to challenge her own perspective. And therefore she's stuck in a psychological issue, namely a delusion. Other people's perspective of reality cannot compare in any way to the validity of her experience, of her reality. And therefore no one's been able to challenge her to a degree to which she can step outside of the box of her own mind and be like, oh wow, maybe I did have a delusion. Maybe I was deluded. So that's the conundrum I find myself in. Between the horns of the bull, basically, where you have unhealthy narcissism on one end and codependency on the other. And I got to be right there with healthy narcissism, no codependency, and respect for others, but not codependency with others, and not believing in the validity of their experiences over the validity that I place in my own experience. Hope that's helpful to some of you out there. Peace be with you, and bye for now.